Hey guys, today we're going to be showing you something really cool. I'm going to show you how to levitate an object, in this case a piggy bank, in a photograph so it looks realistic. And you can do this with anything, a person, an object, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to do it very simply. It doesn't matter how complicated the background is. We can get a floating object, whether person or object, to look cool in a photograph. So let me show you how to do that right now. First off, you need a magic wand. We have a magic wand. We say the magic words. Wingardium Leviosa. Oh, bugger. Oh no, that was my vacation money in there too. Oh no. Oh, the piggy bank's back. Money seems to be gone though. But anyways, let's carry on with this. So as I said, it doesn't matter whether it's an object or a person. I know I've said that repeatedly, but it honestly does not matter. Now I picked a fairly complicated background. It's got a lot of pattern and texture and stuff into it. Just to show you, that doesn't matter either. What your subject is standing on doesn't matter either. What you need to do is put your camera on a tripod. Hugely important. Your camera cannot move. Your focus point also cannot move. So you need to set your camera up on a tripod, like I have now recording this, and then you need to take a picture of the scene with the focus where your subject's going to be. So what I tend to do is set the camera up on the tripod, and then you can set the focus point on where the person is, and then either have them step out of the scene, then take the picture, and then come back in and set up, or simply do your complete setup, take the picture, then take them out of the scene, and then take your second picture, because you're going to be taking two pictures together and putting them together in Photoshop. All right, it's really, really simple. Got a couple of things here to show you what I'm going to do. Here's just simply a wine glass. Stand that there. Piggy bank elevated. So this could be a chair with a person on it. This could be a ladder with a person on it. It could be a piggy bank on a wine glass. It doesn't matter. I've taken the first picture, I've added my subject, I've taken my next picture. Now you're going to say, well, yeah, you're using a wine glass, so it's see-through. Again, it doesn't matter. There's a black object. Piggy bank on top. Again, it does not matter, because you're simply going to erase what's supporting the person or the object in Photoshop. And because you've taken two scenes identical, as soon as you erase that, what's behind it shows through. Well, what's behind it is what was behind it before. The only thing that you need to be considering and thinking about is the shadows. That'll make or break this illusion. If I have a light source coming in from the side, coming down this way, and I've got heavy shadowing here, and then in post-production, I erase all this. I'm erasing the shadows. So my object is floating, but there's no shadow any longer supporting it to the ground, so it doesn't look like it's floating. It literally looks like I cut it out and pasted it in the picture, and you don't want that. Now, if you have a person there, and say you've got a female model, and the hair's all flowing, and it's all hanging down, it works. A little more complicated because of the hair detailing. I do have a picture I will show you in a minute of me using an actual person versus an object. I just want you to be aware the shadow is hugely important. You got to be careful that you don't wipe out all the shadow, and you're going to have to rebuild a little shadow back depending on where your light source is coming from. If it's coming from directly above, then your shadow is going to be directly below it. Now, because you're erasing this, part of the bottom area you're going to have to rebuild. Putting shadows in is fairly easy. You just have to realize where light's falling and how the shadow looks and how it looks in your original, because you're just simply reproducing it. Okay? So, takeaway points from this: camera on a tripod, your focus fixed on that spot. You take a picture set up, take the item out, retake your next photo with nothing in it but the ground and your background. Or you can take the background surface one first, then put your subject in, and then take. Camera on a tripod, does not move, focus point does not move, you're good. Now, let me just show you a picture that I did with a young model playing magician. Now, if you notice, the child being levitated is actually the same child as the magician levitating her. So it's a little bit of a composite as well, but the levitation part was done this way. I actually had her laying on a small low table, and that's what got her up off the ground to hang the hair and the bit of clothing. As I say, when the hair is hanging, it's a little trickier because now you're cutting hair out in and around the subject, if you're changing backgrounds or anything like that up, which in my case I did. But anyways, check this out, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to take you right into Photoshop and show you how the two files get put together and how you do it. Very simple. So have a look at this one. Alright, we're now into Photoshop, and as you can see on the right hand side here, I've brought the two files in. This is the plain background, as you can see, and the top one is our object that we're going to make float. Again, person, object, doesn't matter. Now on here, we just simply need to get rid of this wine glass. Your object's floating. If you remember, I said one thing that really sells the image is the shadow, and you can see down here in this section it's darker than over here because that is the shadow created by the glass and the piggy bank. The lighting's coming down in this direction, as you can see by the highlight on the side of the pig's ear. Now some of this shadow is from the glass, so we have to be careful that when we're rebuilding this, the shadow looks like it's coming from the pig. So the first thing we want to do is make sure we click on the layer with our object on and come down here, create a layer mask. The layer mask is great because if you make a mistake, you can just simply go back and put out whatever you wiped out. So it's wonderful to work with a layer mask. Click on the layer mask, come over here, select a brush, and then you switch back and forth between white and black. White reveals, black conceals. So if I'm on black, and let's make my brush a little bigger here, I can take that out. If I switch back to white, because I made a mistake, I can put the object back in. So it's better than using the erase tool. You can use the erase tool, but if you make a mistake, it's kind of hard to go back sometimes. This is a lot better to work with. Now, I'm normally what they call a pixel peeper. I'm zooming way in, making sure that every pixel is where it needs to be. On this, it's going to go against my grain, but I'm only going to roughly remove this so you can see how it works, and we don't waste a ton of time while I'm playing with pixels. So we're just going to get rid of the glass here to start with and not come too far into that shadowed area, and make sure we've got all that cleaned out. And then come in here. I will zoom in a bit here, but as I say, I am not going to be accurate whatsoever on this. I'm just getting it a real quick cutout gone, and I'll zoom back out before my pixel OCD kicks back in on me. But there you go. Item now floating. You can see we have a shadow down here which actually correlates with it. If the light was coming from directly above, then the shadowing would be underneath, and this would be wrong. Now, if this was a solid object, it would create a heavier shadow. What you could do is totally wipe the shadow out and rebuild the shadow. Now, on here, let's bring this brush back up. I can wipe out all that shadow. Now, if you come on the right hand side, create a new blank layer, make sure you're on the brush, make sure you're on black, and simply click. Now if you come up here, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then really pump this out, you can, a little too far on that one, let's come a little more, that looks about right. Click OK. Takes a sec because it's quite a bit of a gush and blur. Now, because it's on a new layer, we can move the shadow wherever we want. If the light's directly coming from above, we'd have the shadow below. Come over here on that layer, and we can adjust the opacity. Let me just come off that move tool so it gets rid of the lines there. So we can make this shadow as dark or as bright as we want. You can change the shape of the shadow again by using this tool, and you can stretch it out. Now our shadow was over here. Be aware that if the shadow's coming up on that back cloth, would it naturally come on that back cloth? If the light is coming a bit more from the front and a bit of a down angle, then yes, you would have shadow on there. What you're simply trying to do is, in essence, ground your subject to this so it makes sense to your light source. Now, yes, I used a complicated background to show you the cutting out is so simple, but not in matching shadowing, because there's nothing else in this image showing you direction of light other than the lighting onto the pig and a bit on the background and board. I'm going here by where the light basically was before. So again, if I don't want to use that, I come back here, white reveals, come back onto my brush, and I put that shadow back in. You saw I got a bit of the glass back, so let's just get rid of that bit of glass. There you go. That is all there is to it. Well, that was it. Now you can see how easy it is to make an object or person levitate or float in a photograph. You saw how in Photoshop that you combine the two layers and simply erase the information you don't want. Using the layer mask is, to me, crucial because it allows you to add back in or take out as you need. Whereas if you use the erase tool, it's more of a permanent destruction to it, you might say. So I do highly recommend learning and using layer masks. Well, I was really pleased how that came out. What'd you think of the magician assistant one? That was pretty cool. Okay, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it. And until the next time.